With the majority of the hunting season now out of the way, Thanksgiving is over and done with. I was on vacation through the majority of that time, fellas, and we've got some catching up to do. Correlation doesn't always equal causation, but when I scale back my video uploads, the Lions' performance dips. Today we're catching up on the Lions-ish that I've missed out on over the couple of weeks. We're going to talk about the last two games, as well as touch on some news coming out of Allen Park around the injury bug poking its head up, primarily affecting a member of the defense who was poised to have a huge game in his homecoming efforts week 13 against the New Orleans Saints. We will discuss that briefly, as well as a rookie might be able to get through the 3-week evaluation period and potentially make an active roster spot as early as week 16 of this year. We will discuss. Guys, it's been a rough couple of weeks. I'm not going to lie. It's been hard to be a Lions fan, but I'm here now with all the copium in the world to gas you guys up to get ready for a big Week 13 matchup against the New Orleans Saints. All hope is not lost, fellas, and I'm going to tell you exactly what we need to do to right this ship. I'm Hat and Beard. This is the Hat and Beard Show.
Okay, let's go.
Drop!
Hey there, guy. Welcome back to the Hat and Beard Show. In case you don't know, I'm your hostess with the mostest, Hat and Beard, where my pronouns are savage and I identify as sexy. With a slight change to the studio setup, with me as always is my co-host to my right, and Pick'em's extraordinaire, the stiff man himself, B-Rad, helped me hold down the fort. Guys, it's been a wild ride the past couple weeks, and really we can correlate it all the way back to the bye week, but we're not here to discuss that fully. Let's talk about a little news here facing the Detroit Lions. We had some injury news come out this week. In case you guys missed it, against the Packers, Week 12, Anzalone banged up his wrist, missed a couple of games, and it's looking like he's possibly going to miss more than just this upcoming week, you guys. It's looking like he might be down for a couple of weeks, which is really unfortunate because he is the leader of our defense. He leads the team statistically in tackles, as well as tied for second or third in the team in sacks, which isn't saying a whole lot because we haven't gotten home very much this year. Alex Anzalone was poised to have a huge homecoming game against the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints on offense are stagnant. They're not necessarily great, and Anzalone, according to PFF, Pro Football Focus, is the number 19th graded linebacker in the NFL, having a bit of a renaissance this season in Detroit, really ascending, and it's been obvious that there are better players in place than there were the past couple years for Alex Anzalone. He's been able to play a little bit more free. Unfortunately, though, this means that the two guys who I don't like to see on the field in coverage are going to have a more expanded role, that being Derek Barnes and the rookie Jack Campbell, who I'll admit, Jack Campbell, dude, I really feel like his play has kind of dropped the past few weeks. There's been a couple of situations where you can see he's out of place, and the man looks lost on the field. Coming in to the game against the Chargers, I think Jack Campbell's great now as a rookie at like a C, maybe even a C+, but man, the game against the Bears and then really the way he got taken advantage of by the Packers, he's really dropped his overall performance grade to like a D+. A full letter grade is a huge drop-off when you've been moved into a more starting role and expanded your snap count. Luckily, though, Derek Barnes has been a bit of a turnaround this year than where he was at the beginning of the year. Again, you guys recall, I was always angry to see Derek Barnes out in coverage. He's a great run defender and actually has a few tools in his toolbox to get to the quarterback when he's used as a pass rush specialist. Hopefully those two guys can hold it down because as we've seen, Malcolm Rodriguez took a bit of a demotion as a starter on defense and has become more of a special teams player, as well as taking the majority of the snaps at fullback with Jason Cabinda being on IR. Am I mad about Malcolm Rodriguez playing fullback? Heck no. I'd really like to see him make that transition because, in case you guys don't know this, I am an old school Smash Mouth, big fan of the Smash Mouth black and blue ground and pound style of offense in the NFL. So I like the traditional I form, offset I. I like having a fullback on my roster going in there. I was a big fan of Corey Schlesinger and Mike Allstott from back in the day. It's just my type of brand of football. So hopefully the Alex Anzalone injury isn't necessarily as crippling as it's probably going to be. Let's be real, guys. Our defense isn't necessarily the best unit that we have. We've been exposed since the Baltimore game, and Aaron Glenn's really the extension of Aaron Glenn on the field, and Alex Anzalone is now being removed from the equation. Hopefully the young guys can hold up. Hopefully we can have a bit of a ego boost to the young guys' performance, considering we are playing the Saints this week, and the Saints' offense has been not necessarily the most electrifying thing on planet Earth. They do have weapons. Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave. Derek Carr, not really what he once was, and unfortunately, maybe the Raiders did make the right decision in moving off of him. And as much as I can't stand Josh McDaniel, he might have seen something that we didn't necessarily see. So Alex Anzalone being out is a huge blow, as well as there was a little bit of news on Jonah Jackson, our starting left guard, who has been, he's missed like 5 of the last 6 games. Early on, it was a knee injury. Now it's a wrist situation. Look, I don't know what's going on there, but I do know this, that without Jonah Jackson being in the rotation, our offensive line has not performed as well as it should be. And you guys know, I've talked about it before, I'm a big fan of the triangle approach on our offensive line. That being, you have to have a stalwart center and tackles, and you can kind of rotate the door on the interior offensive line at guard. Unfortunately, we've been really rotating a lot of different guys through there. Graham Glasgow has, officially earned the starting right guard position over Halapalutta Vaitai. Who couldn't see that coming? Graham Glasgow's played okay. He's not great. He's not going to make any Pro Bowls, but he's serviceable, and he can slide over and play center in a pinch for Ragnow being out. But that has then opened up the door for Awuska. I
can't pronounce the dude's name.
The third-year guy out of Buffalo, and, of course, our rookie, 5th-round pick out of William & Mary, Colby Sorsdahl. Colby Sorsdahl got the good start this week and was taken advantage of and benched in the second half. Unfortunately, then, both of those guys, between Awuska, and I know I'm butchering that, but between him and Colby Sorsdahl, both of them accounted for 10 pressures on Jared Goff. That's not going to cut it, fellas. I'm not saying Colby Sorsdahl is bad, and I'm not saying he got benched because his play was necessarily bad. Maybe, the MCDC and the gang really buy into the head game for the players. Maybe they were doing it to protect the guy. Maybe he had just couldn't hold it down. I mean, he did play at a smaller school, and not necessarily the easiest transition for those guys. But you like to see him maybe be able to perform a little bit better. However, with Jonah Jackson being out, it's going to be one of those two guys, maybe even a Dan Skipper come in and play a little bit of rotation there, because with Jonah Jackson being out, it has been a huge blow to our offense. I've been saying for the past couple weeks that the one thing that is truly proven to me is that Jonah Jackson is a huge part of our offense. It does take away from my triangle mentality of the offensive line, but since Jonah Jackson's been out of the rotation, our offensive line has not been a top 5 offensive line. Jared Goff has been running for his life the past 3 games. He's been knocked around, smacked around. Our offensive line doesn't necessarily have as much push in the run game, though it hasn't taken a huge step back. But again, the pass pro hasn't been great. You can see, especially with Sorsdahl, and I hate to be beating the guy up. It's just I watch him a lot because I'm kind of rooting for the guy. He tends to get his nose out over his toes. He doesn't engage with his man. He tends to lean forward a little bit, get his shoulders too far forward. And a good defensive tackle or defensive end, someone like Kenny Clark, is going to be able to take advantage of that. And we've seen it happen. And unfortunately, that is a huge glaring spot in our offense. Though we're healthy at all the skilled positions, when the meat and potatoes get banged up, the whole unit takes a step back. So Jonah Jackson is kind of on more of a week-to-week. Nobody really knows. According to Dan Campbell in the press conference, he said he's just going to kind of let everybody know when he's ready to play. So we'll see how that shakes out. 2 big injury news, though, there with Anzalone and Jonah Jackson. Those are huge blows for us. Again, the Jonah Jackson we've been dealing with, again, it's been a hole, though, that we've seen. Anzalone, though, I'm not really confident in that injury. That really kind of rattles me a little bit. We brought him back for a reason, and he's been performing well and really earning up to that contract that he re-signed with us in the offseason. So the last bit of news coming out of Allen Park is that Hendon Hooker might be entering his 21-day evaluation period. Now, what does that mean exactly? That means that Hendon Hooker was put on the non-football injury list, meaning that just like J-Mo last year, he was hurt before he came to the Lions. So he has been removed from the team. He can't be coached, can't have really any organizational activity. He's part of the team, but he can't be coached up. Now that he's coming off of that list, he's going to be brought into a 21-day evaluation period. So the Lions have 3 weeks to evaluate him to see if they even want to move him up to the active roster. which could be a boon. I mean, we did take him in the 3rd round. He was a Heisman candidate before his ACL injury last year, and we know the guy's a baller. I was high on him last year. I was hoping that we'd get sneaky with him in the later rounds, and we totally did. The guy had a first-round grade on his athleticism before the injury, and, you know, if he can get back to form, that's a great weapon to have. Do I think he's going to unseat Jared Goff? No, I don't think he's going to unseat Jared Goff. I don't think he could unseat Teddy Bridgewater. And at this stage of the season, when you're trying to make a big push for the playoffs, and God forbid anything happens to Jared Goff, do you really feel comfortable with going in with a uncoached, unseasoned rookie quarterback trying to carry your team to a playoff berth, or would you rather have Teddy Bridgewater, who has been on the team since, week 2 of the preseason, knows the playbook, knows the chemistry, has built repertoire with the players, because short of moving, I don't know, say like a Broderick Martin off the active roster list, then your hands are kind of tied in how you're going to move Hendon Hooker onto the active roster list when there's only 53 spots. And based on our rotation on defense as well as our depth that we need at offensive line right now, there's just not enough spots to go around. Am I mad about that? No. Would I like to see Hendon Hooker get some snaps? Sure, why not? That has to be a very specific situation, and that situation is you have a locked up playoff spot. We have to be in control of the North. You have to own that playoff spot in order to even begin to think about seasoning your rookie bench players to acclimate them to the speed of the game, essentially treating the end of the season as an extension of the preseason. You'll see a lot of teams do that when they already have the playoff spot locked up. They'll play their subs the last week, the last half of week 17. One series after the opening drive in week 18. You'll see a lot of backups coming because you don't want to see your guys get hurt, as well as that boosts up, it gives them a little bit extra recovery time. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. Probably not, for all the reasons that I just listed. You don't want to sacrifice a roster spot for an unproven rookie. Let him continue to develop. You got him under contract for the next couple of years. Let him continue to develop in the locker room, on the practice squad. Let him really get to absorb everything he can out of Teddy Bridgewater, Jared Goff, and Ben Johnson while all of those guys are still in-house, because the news broke today that the Carolina Panthers fired Frank Reich and Deuce Staley, so that definitely just opens up the door for Ben Johnson again to be probably the top front runner for the Carolina Panthers head coaching job when the offseason starts and the coaching carousel starts up again. He was rumored to be one of the top candidates last season. He's from North Carolina. Do I want to see that happen? For the man, morally, dude, that'd be the cat's pajamas for Big PP Ben Johnson to get an elevation to a head coaching role. And I mean, he probably deserves it. Do I want to see him go? Hell no, dude. He's the best offense coordinator in football. All right. He has been one of the catalysts to the evolution of Jared Goff post LA Rams, is being under the tutelage of both Mark Brunell and Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson somehow seems to understand how to manipulate offenses or defenses. When you see him draw up plays, you can see a lot of routes being ran that are going to put pressure on players to make decisions on the back end of the defense. And regardless of the decision that they make, he's schemed a play that the decision that the player makes will never be the right player, and it'll always leave somebody open. The problem is that recently Jared Goff hasn't had the time in the pocket to let these plays develop. And as you've seen at the Packers game, we fell behind so early on that we couldn't run the ball, and it negated the play action pass, which is where Jared Goff excels at. So let Hendon Hooker continue to learn, let him tool, let him understand everything, and let's hope that Ben Johnson doesn't take the head coaching job in Carolina. Whoo-wee, that was a lot there, fellas, wasn't it? Hey, while I got you real quick, couple things. One, make sure to like the video if you enjoy the content, subscribe to the channel if you like what we do here, and share it around to your grandma. Maybe she'll think I'm cute. Also, guys, it's wintertime. Do yourself a favor. Men, it's not manly to run around with dry skin. This isn't an ad read or nothing. This is just something I'm very passionate about. Yo, moisturize your skin, dude, okay? You gotta hydrate your man flesh, okay? There's only one way to maintain the succulent skin like Hat and Beard has, okay? And that is you just gotta moisturize, dude. After the shower, before you go to bed, get it all over, man. You gotta moisturize your epidermis, dude. You gotta make sure and hit your face with a little moisturizer, dude. Guys, it's gonna go a long way, okay? Ladies don't want to see you running around here being all chalky and ashy as all get out, dude. You shouldn't be leaving skin flakes behind on dark sheets when you get up. All right? So moisturize yourself and make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
Thanks.
So, fellas, let's go ahead and talk about Week 11 real quick. We're going to go all the way back to the Bears game where the Lions ended up getting sneaky with it and putting up, 17 points in 2 minutes there to come out with a back-end victory, 31-26 over the Bears. This game looked rocky from the start, and I had started to feel like we were going to fall directly into the trap game that I projected. It was rough sleddings until about 2 minutes and some change in the fourth quarter when Ben Johnson opened up all of the playbook and dialed up some killer offense, further cementing himself as obviously a top candidate in the head coaching carousel like we just discussed. And, that's not a bad thing. I've already said it. I'm hoping that that he doesn't take the opportunity, but more power to him, especially with the Carolina spot. God, that sucks for Frank Reich and Deuce Staley. But let's be real. With anyone else under center in this offense, we wouldn't have been able to execute the way we did. JG16 bailed us out then, and when all the chips were down and we needed one play from our defense, guys, this is a combination of two things that happened. Number one, JG16 was able to go out and execute Ben Johnson's play calling, okay? Anyone else under center there, they don't have the mind meld like Ben Johnson and Jared Goff have, okay? Secondly, the most important play of the game, and it could even be the most important play of our season up until now, when all the chips were down and we absolutely needed our defense to make a play. We needed a play, we needed a stop, and we needed the ball back. Just to make sure that we won the game. We were already up, but we had to get that ball back just to take it out of Justin Fields' hands because, golly, fellas, he was kind of lighting us up all day. And when you absolutely needed a play, Hutch finally, after 4 games, finally got his sack. And not only did he get a sack, not only did he come and deliver the blow, and this is how you know that Aiden Hutchinson is special. When you needed a play to be made, not only did he make the play, strip sack, safety, ball back. The biggest knockout blow that could have been delivered in that situation, Aiden Hutchinson came in and delivered and really ended up locking that game down for us. It was the biggest knockout blow you could have ever imagined, right? You not only do you get the points to take a 3-possession lead, but then you get the ball back, and it's just victory formation from there on out. So that was a good, a W is a W. I'm not going to take away from that. However, this game took a tremendous amount of effort and energy for us to put away the Bears, something that we shouldn't have had to do. We should have been able to walk away from this game feeling good about ourselves and really kind of polish down the rough edges that still stuck out after the bye week, after the Chargers game that we all seen and bore witness to when we had to have a tremendous comeback in that game as well. But games like that are going to wear on you, fellas. And you remember me talking leading into the Bears game. I was hoping that we were going to kind of be able to add a little smackdown to the Bears to get a little bit more of a rotation in so we weren't running our starters through the whole game because we were going to be playing on a short week coming into a big divisional round against the Packers. And it took the entire game for us to put away the Bears. That's not what should have happened. So we've been playing at a negative. Let's be honest, guys. Let's be honest. From the San Diego game, the LA game, we had the bye week, the LA game, Bears. I don't know what happened during the bye week, fellas, but the LA game, we came out flat, right? We came out kind of flat. We were missing a little bit of synchronicity with the team. You started to see some hiccups forming, and those hiccups haven't been ironed out, and they've still carried over now into week 13. And a good team like the Packers, and I hate to say this because they were stagnant early on in the season, but they're really coming around. A good team like the Packers with good coaching will take advantage of your stagnant, gaping wounds there, your open holes. No, I don't want to say that. Your shortcomings, they will take advantage of. And that's exactly what's been happening. Not only do we have glaring shortcomings on our defense, especially when we don't play complementary football and our defense is on the field for extended periods of time, but our shortcomings start to be shown, our secondary starts to be shown, our lack of pass rush starts to be shown. And unfortunately, with our defense having to play as hard as they're playing, we just don't have the gas. We don't have the gas on offense. We don't have the gas on defense. We don't have the gas to come back 3 games in a row from big, I don't want to say being down big, but still down. I mean, dude, we were down 20-6 in the first quarter against the Packers. Tell me this team isn't exhausted without telling me this team is exhausted, right? Well, we were down 20-6 in the first quarter against the Packers, a team who earlier on in the season we were up 20-6 in the first quarter, right? So going back to the Chargers game, we've just been gassed. It was evident during the Bears game that some things were not necessarily as refined as we wanted them to be. And luckily, the Bears aren't as good of a team as the Packers. They weren't able to take advantage of it, and we were able to get real lucky and pull out a W. Then we move into Week 12. So we're going to talk about Week 12. The Packers beat us 29-22, right? A wonderful waxing gibbous moon that has crippled the Lions the last 12 times. It has shown its face during the Thanksgiving game. That's right, the Lions are 0-12 whenever that happens. Now we are 0-13. The Lions cannot seem to win under a waxing gibbous moon. So blow it up, shoot it out of the sky. I don't know, man. November's just been hell for us. Let's be honest, fellas. From the jump of the Lions game, we got beat by our man to the punch. We got beat every way that Thursday night. Thanksgiving was just a beatdown. First play was 53-yard pass to Watson against Cameron Sutton, who's been relatively solid. And unfortunately, you kept seeing Tracy Walker just slightly out of position, which is something. I'm not knocking Tracy Walker. I hype him up. Like, I thought he was a good fill-in for CJ but you're starting to see the talent level difference between, say, a Tracy Walker and a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I honestly think that a couple of these plays the last few weeks were like, yeah, Tracy Walker can hit dudes, but I'd rather you be in position to make a play on the ball than just smacking dudes around, where CJ is either going to be, making a play on the ball or intercepting it. There's just some shortcomings that we've been seeing on defense, man, and it's just been rough to watch because, we kind of thought early on that this defense was going to be turned around a little bit and the ascension was going to continue as we got guys healthier, like an Emmanuel Mosley, but then he blew his knee out. And unfortunately, CJ going down early was just it just sucks, man. Brian Branch hasn't necessarily been right since the injury. But after that 53-yard pass to Watson, it was all downhill from there, guys. This game got out of hand fast, okay? The Packers, they outmanned us. They outplayed us. They flat out wanted it more than we did, and who can blame them, right? This was revenge. This was revenge for what we did to them week, 4, right, in their own house on primetime. We had nothing in the tank, guys. We had no energy. We came out flat. No plays to be made. Everyone's timing on the offense was off. Everyone looked out of sync. Our O-line without Jonah Jackson just got manhandled. Goff was under pressure nearly 50% of the time, right? And when you fall down 20-6 in the first quarter, you really kneecap the run game, which in turn then nullifies, as I stated before, it nullifies the play action attack, something that JG16 has excelled at the majority of this year. The play action is something that Jameson Williams has been able to live off of. And when you're down that big early on, you're not going to really run your way back into that game. You're going to have to throw, and you're going to have to use the short passing game, the short to intermediate passing game as your run game, because you basically have to abandon it. I mean, Monty wasn't really getting too far other than some physical runs. Ja was fast, but not fast enough to run us back a two possession deficit, especially when your defense couldn't get a stop. But that's not all. Look, it's not all on the players, okay? And I really don't want to lay the blame at the feet of MCDC, but part of it is, especially in this Packers game, MCDC died by the fourth down sword. Look, when it works, it works. When it doesn't, you set yourself up so far behind that any misstep will destroy you, and that's exactly what happened. When you go for it that many times on fourth down, you have to be perfect, and we weren't perfect. We missed an extra point for Pete's sake, right? And when you can't allow any missteps in your dance, you guys, that's a real sharp edge to be walking. And let's be real. We came into this dance trying to dance with 2 left feet, all right? It just wasn't going to go down. Frankly, I felt that fourth down attempt by MCDC was basically him just saying, fuck it. Look, I'm just going to keep doing it. I don't give a shit. Y'all can go kick rocks, right? I've come this far. I'm just going to keep on keeping on. If it's broke, I'm not going to fix it. I'm just going to keep doing it, right? There are some times where I'm like, take the points, Dan. Punt the ball, Dan. Look, Jack Fox is a great punter. All right, Jack Fox is a great punter. Riley Patterson's got a decent leg. He ain't got the biggest leg, and Apparently you can't kick extra points. You're really letting me down, Riley Patterson. I was on you all year last year, really wishing we hadn't let you go to the Jags, and now you're back. And, well, bro, you're just not necessarily making me look so great over here when you miss extra points. But you know what? You can't take it back. We were able to convert the 2-point later on, but it is what it is, right? Aaron Glenn couldn't call a defense to save his ass. Again, with no pressure in the secondary, with no pressure, the secondary got destroyed. And without any attempt to step our wide receivers, our pass rush couldn't get home, right? I've been saying it for weeks now. But, Aiden Hutchinson needs a running mate, okay? He needs a running mate. It hasn't been more clear than this year alone. You can compare his productivity between early last year when James Houston wasn't active to when James Houston was active later on in the year versus how James Houston's been out this entire season. Aiden Hutchinson hasn't been nearly as effective. Yeah, he gets pressures, but he doesn't get home nearly as much as he was last year. So he needs a running mate to help him collapse that pocket around. And again, Aleem McNeil, that's just not his bag, man. That's not what we ask him to do. We just need more help. And that's something that we need to address in the draft. Obviously, your best rush edge, defensive tackle, or corner is where I'm early talking first-round pick. But that is not something I really want to get into too much this year. The long and short is we walked into a buzzsaw of a game, fellas. And we walked into it unprepared. Something's been off with us since the bye week. It took so much energy to come back on the Chargers and then the Bears. To ask them to do it again is almost an impossible task, right? 3 times in a row, that is a huge ask out of this team. What is it? The light that burns twice as bright, or the light that burns twice as bright runs half as long, or something like that. And I think that's kind of what we're running into right now. I think we came out this season a little too hot and heavy early on, and kind of blew our reserves a little too early in the tanks, and it's starting to catch up with us now. The bye week didn't do us any favors. Hopefully this short-term week can kind of help us out a little bit. Thankfully we do get a little short break here, a little 10 days off to get ready to head down to New Orleans to wrestle with the floundering Saints team. It's not the end of the world right now, fellas. Okay? Look, it's not the end of the world. It sucks because it's a divisional game, and it sucks that it's a divisional game to the fucking Packers of all teams, man. But it's just been a remarkable season for us, okay? And we're not used to losing this year. Like, as Lions fans, normally it's just like, it's another L, whatever, you move on with your day. But this year's been different. So every L stings just a little bit more, and this one stings just as bad because it's the Packers, man. I don't think this is the end of us. I really don't. I've seen some people saying we ain't going to win a game the rest of the year. I don't think that's the case. I really like to think MCDC and the gang is going to get this under control and right this ship and really refocus now that we're out from underneath the waxing gibbous moon, out of the month of November. This has been rough sleddings, guys, since the Baltimore game really kind of screwed things up a little bit. Then we had, then we had the Raiders and then the bye, right, which helped kind of get right. And then something was off with the Chargers game, man. I'm telling you, something's been off since the Chargers game. I don't know exactly what, but we just don't have it in the tank right now. But I think this mini bye should help. And then travel down to New Orleans. You're not traveling coast to coast. You're just, north to south. Run down there, keep playing indoors, come back up for a big Bears matchup week 14. I think we play the Bears week 14. I think that's our last outdoor game for Jared Goff. We'll talk more about the Saints game in the preview video, guys. Okay, I'll get y'all gassed up then. Don't worry. I'm hoping that this kind of left you feeling a little bit better about everything, knowing that it happens, especially it happens to a team that isn't necessarily used to having to perform this well this late into the season at such a high level. Look, it's new for us. Winning's new for us, and it's just something we have to figure out how to adapt to and learn how to really keep those reserves filled so that we can make a long playoff push, you guys. All right? It's not the end of the world. I don't know if any of this made sense. Comment down below what you think. Comment down below if you got anything hunting. Let me know. Comment down below what your favorite dish was for Thanksgiving. I ate too many deviled eggs, and now my ass smells like deviled eggs, both in vapor and solid form. So it's been a fun time for me over here at the Hat and Beard household. That's all I really got for you today. Make sure and moisturize your skin, fellas, because it's winter and it's cold. I'm freezing. If you made it this long, I appreciate you hanging in there and listening through all the stuff. In case you can't tell, we got a little background noise in here because it's Hey, 20 degrees in my garage right now, so I had to bust out the heaters. And if you don't like it, well, tough, dude. Just pretend that you're a maintenance guy in a mechanical room listening to the grinding of machines. That's gonna do it for me, fellas. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Stay out of trouble. If she doesn't find you handsome, at least she'll find you handy. Keep your stick on the ice and... frig off.